YouTube, unmatched coverage. What's trending? Who are the biggest newsmakers of the day? What are the issues affecting people?
Center hand once again extended. Are you ready to agitate?
नॉटिस लाइव सभी को मेरा शुक्रिया.
Watch Evening Prime every day at 7 p.m. only on Northeast Live. Northeast Live, the most viewed news channel in the region. On YouTube, unmatched coverage.
Evening Prime is brought to you by Misho, TVS Jupiter 125, Zada Se Bhi Zada, Vimal Ilaichi, Oil India Limited, Everyday Spices, Leah Agarbatti, TVS Apache RTR, and Himalaya Purifying Neem Face Wash, Pimple Free, Healthy Skin Ka Expert. Emergency-like situation in Assam's Dima Hasao. Essentials to be airdropped starting tomorrow. Focus also on maintaining supplies to Barak Valley. Army joins rescue operations in Hojai, where close to 5,000 people are marooned. Daring rescue by Indian Air Force. Chopper lands on track. Airlifts railway officials stranded in remote station. Rescue operations continue. 3 deaths so far in floods and landslides in Meghalaya. Multiple landslides reported from Arunachal as death toll in incidents continue to rise. Former Nagaland Chief Minister SC Jamir makes a big statement. Says central leadership has ruled out granting flag and constitution demand. 5 suspended Meghalaya Congress MLAs to decide their future after consultation with supporters, says former Minister Amberin Linder. All options open. And cattle smugglers attack BSF personnel in Assam. Gang of 25 to 30 cattle smugglers involved in attack. Injured BSF Jawan admitted to hospital in critical condition. Hello and welcome to Evening Prime. I'm Priyadarshini Medhi and we start the bulletin with a big story we have been tracking all day. Well, amid the raging flood and landslide situation in Assam, the state government today held an emergency meet to draw the road map to tackle the situation. Well, the focus of the government and the disaster management teams is primarily on Dima Hasao, Barak Valley and Hojai. with an emergency-like situation in Dima Hasao, where stock of essential items is dwindling fast. The state government is in coordination with the Indian Air Force has decided to airdrop essentials with the first sortie slated for tomorrow. And this was informed by Assam Chief Secretary Jishnu Borwa, who held an emergency meet with CEO of State Disaster Management Authority, officials of NDRF and SDRF, Indian Air Force and Army officials in Guwahati today. Well, the focus of the authorities is also on maintaining the supply lines to Barak Valley, with surface connectivity cut off in Dima Hasao, which links Barak Valley with the rest of the state. Well, Chief Secretary Jishnu Borwa also informed that the army has been called in to rescue around 5,000 people marooned in Hojai.
I am now joined by the Assam Chief Secretary, Mr. Jishnu Barua. Mr. Jishnu Barua, you have just presided over an emergency flood resolution meeting in view of the landslides and floods that have wreaked havoc in Assam. Has the Assam government declared emergency in certain parts of the state?
Well, we are taking steps to meet the very difficult situation in Haflong and Dima Hasao district. That is an area of concern for us because the road connectivity and the rail connectivity have been completely cut off. So we would be supplying the district, actually district headquarters, to any helicopter sorties tomorrow. But perhaps you can say that it's an emergency-like situation for the district of Dima Hasao. Well, we don't declare emergencies this way, but we are taking help of the Air Force and the local the army also as well. And the army has been requisitioned for help in Hojai, where a lot of people who have been marooned and stranded. So there, the army is helping us. But in Haflong, because of the connectivity problems, including even the communication network, your mobile network, that has also been severely affected.
Right. But otherwise, how is the food and essential commodity situation in the state?
We are otherwise quite comfortable on that front. Only in Haflong there is there is a limited supply. Maybe it will last for 3 or 4 days, but then we'll be supplying them shortly.
So, would you say, Mr. Jishnu Barwa, that apart from the Army and the Air Force, which are being engaged in places like you said in Hojai, we understand that about 5,000 people are marooned, and you have described Dima Hasao and Kachar to be the worst affected. What about northern Assam areas like Lakhimpur and Dhemaji, the usual areas where floods wreak havoc?
But the information that we have with us is that the situation is not alarming there. At least so far as North Lakhimpur is concerned. But Hojai, there were a large number of people who were stranded.
Right.
But the NDRF has been able to take them to safer places. And it is through these rubber dinghies and your boats, country boats, that we have been able to take the people to safer places. But helicopter sorties are not being planned for Hojai at all as of now.
My final question to you, are additional contingents of the NDRF coming, or do you think you have enough forces here already?
We have enough forces already, so that would be suitable for carrying out this operation now.
Mr. Jishnu Barwa, thank you very much for speaking to Northeast Live.
Most welcome.
Well, deputy commissioners of the affected districts also attended the emergency meeting called by Chief Secretary through video conferencing. And it may be mentioned here that the flood situation in Assam continues to be grim, with over 24 of the total 33 districts affected by the deluge and landslides. Well, Dima Hasao continues to be the worst affected district, where surface communication remains cut off, disrupted by severe landslides across the district. At least 7 lives have been lost so far in the state, with 4 deaths reported from Dima Hasao alone. In addition to this, at least 6 more people have been reported missing due to floods and landslides in the state's Kachar district. Over 2 lakh people residing in close to 815 villages have also been affected by the floods and landslides. Not only this, over 6.5 thousand households have been damaged due to the floods. Over 3,000 flood affected people have also been evacuated so far. Over 70 relief camps and 27 relief distribution camps have been set up in affected areas, sheltering close to 35,000 people. Meanwhile, the Kopili, Barak, and Kushiara rivers are flowing above the danger level. Meanwhile, in a daring rescue operation, an Indian Air Force chopper landed on a railway track to airlift nearly 13 of the total 35 railway officials, among others, stranded at the Dautut Hajar station in Dima Hasao. Well, these are exclusive Northeast Live visuals that you can see on your screens of the evacuation. Around 13 people were evacuated in the first sortie, while operations are underway to evacuate the rest. So, in a daring rescue operations, 2 Indian Air Force chopper landed on a railway track to airlift nearly 13 of the total 35 railway officials, among others, stranded at the Dautu Hajar station in Dima Hasao. And on your screens, these are Northeast Live exclusive visuals of the evacuation. Also, let me tell our viewers here that around 13 people were evacuated in the first sortie, while operations are underway to evacuate the rest. So indeed, in a daring rescue operations, an Indian Air Force chopper landed on a railway track to airlift nearly 13 of the total 35 railway officials, among others, stranded at the Dautu Hajar station in Dima Hasao. So these are the visuals from Dautu Hajar station in Dima Hasao. So these are Northeast Live exclusive visuals that you can see at the moment on your screens. And around 13 people were evacuated in the first sortie, while operations are underway to evacuate the rest of the stranded people. Meanwhile, our Dima Hasao correspondent Swadeep Hasamsa gave an account of the situation from ground zero. Take a look.
इस वक्त हम आप मौजूद है जी दिमाले के जनाजे में, जहाँ एक घर जो है टूट गया है, उसको हम दिखाने की कोशिश करते हैं कि ये घर कैसे टूटा। आपको बता देते हैं कि ये ऊपर से लिंटर होगा, जो ऊपर का जो रास्ते से जो जमीन जो है फिसल के आ गया था, उसकी वजह से ये घर पूरा अभी टूटा हुआ है। फिलहाल अभी भी बारिश जो है रुकने का नाम नहीं ले। कल 11 बजे से कंटिन्यूअसली अभी पूरा 12 घंटा हो चुका है, 12 घंटा से भी ज्यादा होने जा रहा है ये जो रास्ता जो है। और दादा आप जानते हैं कि यहाँ पे मोटा मोटी कितना ठूक घर टूटा होगा?
20-25 ऐसा होगा।
अच्छा, ऐसे ऐसे ही घर, बहुत सारा घर जो है इस एरिया में दब गया है। और ऐसे हम ये कह सकते हैं कि धीमा हासों में कनेक्टिविटी टूटने का साथ साथ में घर जो लोगों को, बहुत लोगों का जो घर जो है अपने घरों को छोड़कर दूसरे घर में जाने के लिए वो लोगों को बाउंड हो रहा है। और यहाँ पे डिस्ट्रिक्ट एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन भी अभी पैरालाइज हो गया है, क्योंकि उसके पास में जो कैपेसिटी है, जो जिसके साथ कनेक्टिविटी नहीं होने की वजह से बहुत ही उन लोगों को दिक्कत हो रहा है इसको रिस्टोर करने के लिए। ये आपका गवर्नमेंट गिर रहा
कल में भी इसे थोड़ा दब गया रहा। तो हम लोग छोड़ के चला गया। तो आज सुबह में कपड़ा लेने के लिए आया, इमरजेंसी सामान। तो इसे देखा तो जितना सामान रहा सब निकला कि अभी सोमपुजांग में लेके चल जाएगा। क्या सोचता है? जो मुस्लिम बस्ती बोलता है माधव किला।
Meanwhile, Assam State Disaster Management CEO GD Tripathi informed Northeast Live that teams of the NDRF, SDRF, and Army are on ground in Dima Hasao to restore things. Tripathi informed that the top priority is to restore connectivity in Dima Hasao and maintain supply of essentials to Barak Valley.
We are joined in by the CEO of Assam State Disaster Management Authority, Mr. G.D. Tripathi. Well, today there was an emergency meeting on the flood scenario in Assam. Who were the representatives present here, and what was the meeting all about?
The meeting was to tackle the ongoing situation of flood as well as landslide, particularly in Dima Hasao district, in Barak Valley, and in Hojai. And the representatives from all stakeholders, including railway, including NHI, including PWD roads, including NHIDCL. Then we had Food Corporation of India. Then we had other Army and Air Force. So they all participated, including BSNL and Airtel and Indian Oil Corporation as well.
So, how is the situation right now in the entire state? Which are the badly affected areas?
The three things which we were focusing in this meeting was that how to maintain the supplies to the Barak Valley, because that is one thing. But the most priority thing is the Dima Hasao district, which has faced severe landslide as well as rains, and still the rains are going on. So keeping the supply lines open, we have prioritized four things. That opening the railway line, opening the national highway, maintaining the electricity supply, uninterrupted electricity supply, and maintaining the communication network, that is the data as well as voice, both besides maintaining the supplies for the food as well as water for the people. So that was the priority discussion.
Well, representatives from the Indian Air Force, Army, NDRF, and SDRF were also there. So, the aspect of evacuation, relief, and rescue operations also were discussed in it.
Yes. So we have already rescued a number of people who were stranded in different trains in the Dima Hasao district. And today a situation has been built up in the Hojai district where about 5,000 people, they were feared to be stuck. And for them, Army as well as NDRF, SDRF, all machinery were invoked. They turned in, and now we have a kind of full confidence that all the people who are stuck in those flood affected areas of Hojai, they all will be rescued by tomorrow. And the railway thing is also of primary importance, whereas opening of the rail up to opening of that railway will take some time, but opening of the national highway is the topmost priority, so that the supply lines can be maintained. And it is NHI has committed that within the very short time, in a day or two, they would be able to at least open that national highway up to the Haflong.
Air Force was also engaged in the Mahasa for airlifting stranded people. So all the agencies are on standby right now.
All the agencies are not in standby, they are in full action. In fact, whenever the necessity comes, they are acting. Even today, we have given identified some people who are stuck at New Haflong railway station in Haflong. And also, there is a Datto Hajo is the railway station near Maibong, where around 35 railway families are stuck. So even their evacuation has been prioritized, and it will be carried out tomorrow if the weather permits.
So how will be the Air Force engaged?
Air Force is engaged in all the evacuation, rescue, relief, all kind of operations. Wherever the first priority is that the natural response from the administration, then it comes SDRF, then it comes NDRF, and when it is not possible to do with those, then Army is deployed. And when Army, NDRF, SDRF, all are engaged, after that, if there are certain critical cases out there, we engage the air operations for that.
Thank you very much. That was the CEO of Assam State Disaster Management Authority, G.D. Tripathi, talking exclusively to Northeast Live on the prevailing flood scenario in Assam. Reporting from Guwahati, this is Arindam Das for Northeast Live.
Meanwhile, incessant rain since last night also caused flash floods and waterlogging in several parts of Guwahati. Areas like Hatigaon, Sanmari, Zuro Tiniali, Anil Nagar, Maligaon, and several other localities are seeing flash floods. The flooding in these areas is leading a slowdown in traffic and traffic jams at several points. Meanwhile, clogged drains amid the heavy showers has also led to water logging at several spots in the city. And flood situation is also worsening in headquarters of Kachar district, Silchar, where waterlogging has been reported from several places. Our colleague Bikram Sarkar has a ground report. Take a look.
असम के हर एक जिले में प्रकृति का उफान, ये नदी अपनी उफान पर है। आप देख सकते हैं जस्ट एक दिन के अंदर ही कहां तक पानी पहुंच गया है। ये जो घर है पूरा पानी के नीचे है और यहाँ से आप अगर इस तरफ देखें, हमारे कैमरा पर्सन निर्मल मलाकर को हम बोलेंगे आपको दिखाने के लिए। ये जो एरिया है यहाँ से सिर्फ 30 मीटर दूरी पे वो बांध है, नदी का बांध है वहां पे, और ये है वो घर। ऐसे इस लाइन में जितने भी घर हैं सबके अंदर पानी है। जिंदगी यहाँ पे मुहाल है लोगों की। आप देख सकते हैं कौन सी है नदी और कौन सा घर है, कौन सा स्थल है, वो अभी समझना बहुत ही मुश्किल हो गया है। अभी जो आंकड़े आए हैं, जो लेवल है वो 20.84 जो कि डेंजर लेवल से बहुत ज्यादा ऊपर चल रहा है और हर घंटे में 4 से 5 सेंटीमीटर करके पानी बढ़ रहा है।
जब सुबह उठा तो देखा पानी पूरा घर के अंदर हो गया।
आज सुबह
पूरा
पूरा ये लेवल पे आ गया।
ये लेवल पे आ गया।
उनके पूरे घर के अंदर यहाँ पे पूरा पानी ही पानी है। अस्त व्यस्त हो चुकी है पूरी जिंदगी, आप देख सकते हैं। इस बार की जो बाढ़ चल रही है इसके नए नए रूप सामने आ रहे हैं। लोगों को जूझना पड़ रहा है, मुहाल है हालत हर तरफ। लोग आप देख सकते हैं, हम लोग जहाँ पे खड़े थे, इटखोला एरिया जो है, यहाँ पे जो यहाँ पे लोकल लोग हैं उन्होंने ये इजाद निकाला है। ये जो रास्ता है उसके नीचे की कोई जितनी भी मिट्टी थी वो धंस चुकी है। इधर से आप देख सकते हैं, यहाँ पे कैमरा पर्सन आपको दिखाएंगे। हम आपसे यहाँ कुछ लोकल हैं उनसे पूछना चाहेंगे। अच्छा, ये तो बहुत ही खराब हालत में है, किसी भी वक्त ये गिर सकती है। ये अगर हालत है तो आपको क्या लगता है, क्या डिपार्टमेंट का कोई आया था क्या?
नहीं, अभी तक नहीं आया। हम लोगों ने इन्फॉर्म किया है लेकिन अभी तक फिलहाल कोई नहीं आया। इंजीनियर साहब को फोन किया, उन्होंने बोला कि टेक्नीशियन भेज रहे हैं। कि मेन यहाँ पे बात यह है कि यहाँ पे स्विच गेट है, यहाँ पे स्विच गेट है फ्लड कंट्रोल डिपार्टमेंट का। इसके पीछे इसके पीछे इस यहाँ पे, और अगर ये धंस जाता है तो ये बहुत बड़ी एक माने बहुत डिवास्टेटिंग हो सकता है, क्योंकि यहाँ पे जो पानी है और ये थोड़ा भी अगर धंस जाए तो पूरा नदी का पानी अंदर घुस जाएगा और पूरा एरिया में पूरा एकदम
अगर यहाँ का पानी घुसता है तो पूरे सिलचर टाउन को डुबा सकता है।
पूरा सिलचर टाउन, ये पूरा कैपिटल से लेके मालोग्राम तक सब अफेक्टेड हो सकते हैं।
इस साइड अगर ये बांध टूट गया, ये बांध टूटने के बाद इस साइड पे पूरा बर्बाद हो जाएगा,
पूरा बर्बाद हो जाएगा।
Meanwhile, restoration work is underway at the Maibang tunnel, which was blocked by the debris following massive landslides. Well, the 1 kilometer long tunnel, which is considered as a lifeline for half long, is being restored with JCB operators and rescue workers working round the clock. So restoration work is underway, as you can see on your screens, at the Maibang tunnel, which was blocked by the debris following massive landslides. Well, the 1 kilometer long tunnel, which is considered as a lifeline for half long, is being restored with JCB operators and rescue workers working round the clock.
কালি মানে 5টা বাজে মানে ৰাতিপুৱা মানে সকালতে তো মানে 5টা বাজতে ৰাস্তাঘাট পুৰা ক্লিয়াৰ আছিলে। 6টা 6:30 বাজাৰ মানৰ কি হৈছিলে, ওপৰৰ পৰা মাটিবিলাক আহি পেলাই মানে গাছ আহিছিলে, ওই আহি পেলাই পুৰা ৰাস্তাখন পুৰা ভৰ্তি কৰি দিছিলে। তাৰপিছত ড্ৰেইনটো মোৰ প্ৰথমে ড্ৰেইনটো ব্লক হৈ গৈছিলে। ড্ৰেইনটো ক্লিয়াৰ কৰাৰ পিছতেই কি হ'লে পুৰা গোটেইখিনি মানে পাহাৰখন একেবাৰত আহি গৈছে। তাৰপিছতে ইহঁতে মই মানে চাইছিলোঁ মানে এইটো ক্লিয়াৰ কৰিবৰ কাৰণে, কিন্তু ক্লিয়াৰ কৰাৰ টাইমো নিদিলে। ফিউ ছেকেণ্ডৰ ভিতৰত কি হৈছে, পুৰা গোটেইখিনি পাহাৰখন আহি পেলাই পুৰা মোৰ ৰাস্তাবিলাক ৱাল ভাঙি আছে। তাৰপিছত মই মানুহবিলাক লৈ পেলাই মই পিছফালে ৱাল আছিলে এইখনৰ পৰা জাম মাৰি পেলাই ইয়াতে আহিছোঁ। তাৰপিছত মোৰ ইয়াৰ পৰা 5জন আছিলে, 2জন অপাৰেটৰ গাড়ী, মোৰ এটা গাড়ী আছিলে, জেচিবি আছিলে, জেচিবি ফাঁচি গৈছে তাতে। আর মোর স্টাফবিলাক আছিলে 4জন, আর জেসিবি অপারেটর আর ড্রাইভার আসলে, আর মিলে 3জন, 5 3 8 6 7 জন মানে আসলে তাতে।
And the situation is also grim in Arunachal Pradesh as reports of landslides continue to come in from multiple areas. Well, the side wall of the famous Gompa Mandir in Itanagar collapsed due to incessant rains. Meanwhile, frequent landslides are also being reported from the highways in Arunachal Pradesh. Well, efforts are underway to retrieve the body of one person trapped under debris in Itanagar. It may be mentioned here that 4 persons were buried due to landslide, out of which 3 bodies have already been recovered.
In the another site of Jolang Road, near Nisi Elite Society Secretariat. And another one is Taiyai, 40 years. Both are casual laborers. So one dead body is yet to be retrieved, that is Kusumrai. And for that, yesterday, my officers and NDRF, SCRF, SDRF, they have tried their best. It was told that the body could not be recovered due to the reason that the JCB could not do the work. So they need a Pockland. So we have hired one Pockland from TK company, and it was brought yesterday evening. But due to the heavy rain, the work could not be carried out in the night time. So this morning, they are doing their best. They will be putting the bulldozer, the heavy machine to recover the dead body. Only one dead body left. So rest, there is so many incidents that took place in several places, usually Naharlagan, Itanagar, in various locations. And all the police officers, that is OCs, and all the administrative officers are put on job and they are trying their best.
यहाँ पे पब्लिक और ये पब्लिक लोग ही कर रहा है। एनडीआरएफ लोग तो आराम से करा करके देख रहा है। वो लोग तो करता है ना, एक पब्लिक गया है तो वो लोग पीछे में पैर 2 आदमी गया, सिर्फ इतना ही है, ड्रेस पहन के। सक्सेस पता नहीं सक्सेस होगा कि नहीं होगा, अभी तक मालूम ही नहीं। काम जब वो लोग हाथ लगाने से सक्सेस होगा, लेकिन नहीं लगाने से कहाँ सक्सेस होगा उन लोग को। लेकिन एनडीआरएफ लोग को आपका ये 1 बसर के लिए टर्निंग देता है, लेकिन यहाँ आके आराम से करा करके पब्लिक का जैसे देख रहा है। वहां में सिर्फ 2 आदमी ही कर रहा है बस।
Meanwhile, as many as 3 people lost their lives in flood and landslide related incidents in Meghalaya. Well, this was informed by State Disaster Management Minister Kirman Shila.
Regarding with this calamity, we have witnessed a lot of heavy rain had been occurred in our state, which affect the most, especially the 13 and the 16. In these 2 days, I have the report with me that we have lost 3 persons' life, which caused the family into a very, to say, they are in a very sad situation, and I believe that I would like to give my condolence message to all the bereaved family, that may God be with them and give them strength to fight against this incident what had happened in their family. And from our side, the department and the government as a whole, we are with you no matter what, however possibilities and then things can be done from our side. We are ready to help and give a helping hand for all these bereaved family, and then even for those who lost their infrastructure, their land, and so many field or maybe animals and all the death of the animals. So we are from the government and the department, as per the norms, we are ready to find out the easy way, or maybe to try to speedy the paperwork, and also that these people will not suffer a lot when it comes to completion, or maybe to receive their which needs to be given from the government side.
Is also grim in Meghalaya as well, as many as 3 persons lost their lives in flood and landslide related incidents in the state. Well, as you've already heard, this was informed by State Disaster Management Minister Kirman Sheila. So 3 people lost their lives in flood and landslide related incidents in Meghalaya. And this was informed by a State Disaster Management Minister, Kirman Sheila. And not just in Meghalaya, but other parts, the Assam, in fact, Arunachal Pradesh, flood situation continues to be grim in Assam, Meghalaya, and Arunachal Pradesh as well. And meanwhile, heavy storms hit Manipur's Churachandpur district this morning, uprooting trees and flooding rivers. No casualty has been reported so far. So these are the visuals coming in from Manipur's Churachandpur. No casualty has been reported so far, but a heavy storm hit Manipur's Churachandpur this morning, uprooting trees and flooding rivers. And on your screens are the visuals coming in from Churachandpur in Manipur, so there you can see. But the good thing is that no casualty has been reported so far from Churachandpur, but heavy storm has hit Churachandpur this morning, and these are visuals coming in from Churachandpur, like Assam and Arunachal Pradesh and Meghalaya. Heavy storms had hit Churachandpur in Manipur as well. So nature's fury has taken a devastating shape in Meghalaya, Assam, Manipur, and Arunachal Pradesh. And on your screens are the visuals coming in from Churachandpur. Well, now it's time for a very short break. Stay tuned. I'll be right back.
Northeast Live, the most viewed news channel in the region. On YouTube, unmatched coverage.
চাওচোন কোন নতুন খেলুৱৈ আহিছে
বুজাই দিম আজি
মৰমেৰে বুজাম লাহে লাহে কৰি
তেওঁ আমাৰ মাত কথাই
এয়াতো আমাৰেই মাত কথা যদি এক তেন্তে হৃদয়ও এক হোৱা উচিত বিমল কক ভাষা কেচৰি
বৰুণ
হাই মা
ঘৰত বাৰু কাজিয়া কৰি আহিছ নেকি বুৱাৰী নাহিল যে
এতিয়া মই গোটেই মাহটো ইয়াতেই থাকিম
কি
অৱশ্যে ক্ৰিকেটো এমাহ ধৰিয়ে চলাৰ কথা
নতুন টিভি লগালা দিছ এইচডি নাই লগোৱা কি দেউতা
আৰে কিয় কৰি আহিলা
জান ফুলটো সকলোৱে নকৰে জানো
ক্ৰিকেটৰ আসল পাৰ্টনাৰ হ'ল কেৱল ডিশ এইচডি অনুপম পিকচাৰ অনুপম সাউণ্ড নৰ্মেল দামতেই পোৱা এইচডি মাত্ৰ 233 টকা এমাহত ডিশ নহয় ডিশ গাঁও এইটো आओ यहाँ बार बार खेलो झूमो कूदो यहाँ मस्ती में बड़े छोटे साथ आओ ऐश करो नाचो गाओ मस्ती में आओ यहाँ बार बार खेलो झूमो कूदो यहाँ मस्ती में
Northeast Live, the most viewed news channel in the region. On YouTube, unmatched coverage.
Acha? Introducing the new Suzuki Avenir, the sportiest, zippiest ride in town that's loaded with next generation GPS navigation.
চিমি ক'ত আছে
যদি মই কলোহেঁতেন আমি মাতিছো তেন্তে ৱেইট কৰালাহেঁতেন নহয় The new Suzuki Avenis Mosaic Portrait
সাধারণ স্টিল এনেকৈ পরে মাইথন স্টিল এনেকৈ পরে ধমকৈ
বৰুণ
হাই মা
ঘৰত বাৰু কাজিয়া কৰি আহিছ নেকি বোৱাৰী নাহিল যে
এতিয়া মই গোটেই মাহটো ইয়াতেই থাকিম
কি
অৱশ্যে ক্ৰিকেটো এমাহ ধৰিয়ে চলাৰ কথা
নতুন টিভি লগালা দিছ HD নাই লগোৱা কি দেউতা
আৰে কিয় কৰি আহিলা
জান ফুলটো সকলোৱে নকৰে জানো
ক্ৰিকেটৰ আচল পাৰ্টনাৰ হ'ল কেৱল ডিছ HD অনুপম পিকচাৰ অনুপম সাউণ্ড নৰ্মেল দামতেই পোৱা HD মাত্ৰ 233 টকা এমাহত ডিছ নহয় ডিছ গাঁও এইটো
आओ यहाँ बार बार खेलो झूमो कूदो यहाँ मस्ती में बड़े छोटे साथ आओ ऐश करो नाचो गाओ मस्ती में आओ यहाँ बार बार खेलो झूमो कूदो यहाँ मस्ती में
Welcome back. You're watching Northeast Live, and now before moving on to some other news, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Emergency-like situation in Assam's Dima Hasao. Essentials to be airdropped starting tomorrow. Focus also on maintaining supplies to Barak Valley. Army joins rescue operations in Hojai, where close to 5,000 people are marooned. Daring rescue by Indian Air Force chopper lands on track. Airlifts railway officials stranded in remote station. Rescue operations continue. 3 deaths so far in floods and landslides in Meghalaya. Multiple landslides reported from Arunachal as death toll in incidents continue to rise. Former Nagaland Chief Minister SC Jamir makes big statement, says central leadership has ruled out granting flag and constitution demand. 5 suspended Meghalaya Congress MLAs to decide their future after consultation with supporters, says former Minister Amperin Lindor. All options open. And cattle smugglers attack BSF personnel in Assam. Gang of 25 to 30 cattle smugglers involved in attack. Injured BSF Jawan admitted to hospital in critical condition. And now on to a political story from Meghalaya. Well, a suspended Meghalaya Congress MLA, Amperin Lindor, today said that all the 5 suspended Congress MLAs will take a call on their future course of action after consultation with their supporters. Lindor, however, maintained that all the 5 legislators will complete their term. Lindor said that their suspension issued by the AICC was not acceptable at all since the decision of extending support to the MDA was discussed in House. Besides, Amperin Lindor left it to the party leadership to decide on whether the 5 MLAs should be expelled.
The system allows us to await taking further final decision. The manner in which the suspension was issued was something that is not acceptable to the 5 MLAs. We had said that we had had in-house discussions on this matter. We leave it at that. The system allows us to remain this way because the Congress party has issued suspension for a period of 3.5 years. What that suspension means, why this period of 3.5 years was selected, we are not privy to any of those discussions. But the 5 of us will complete our terms as Congress legislators with or without the permission nor blessing of the MPCC. You suspend, we wait, we hope they will expel. But if they don't expel, then the wait goes on. Where is the hurry? We're not in any hurry. It is the party that has suspended us. It's not that we have asked for suspension. So he who suspends will decide what he wants to do next. We are the victims here.
Meanwhile, Emperor Linda also alleged that the Congress has not freed the 5 MLAs and is instead trying to create complications. Responding to speculations on jumping ship from Congress, Emperor Linda left it on the supporters to decide on this.
The Congress party has not freed us. They have not given us any freedom. They are trying to create complications for us, but it doesn't matter. That is something they are trying to do. We are in a democratic system wherein suspended MLAs can choose to remain suspended. We choose to remain suspended. Speculations about where we're going, we leave that to our supporters because all 5 of us are in conversation with our respective supporters. Nothing is to be said officially. We await the expulsion, but if the expulsion is never going to happen, then let's see, after 3.5 years, we may rejoin the Congress. But in between comes an election. Where we go to the election will be our choice. We demand that I should go to BJP, I'll go to BJP also. Where is the worry? It is my people who will guide me, not me who will guide them. So my people are very focused. My supporters are very focused. I will go to any political party which they feel will be the best option. But option number 1, which is the Congress, doesn't seem to be in the offing for us because we already have a person who says that he is a Congress candidate in my constituency. We are guided by the Constitution of India. If the Constitution of India gives us the provision to remain in suspension as a group of 5, so be it. So we remain in suspension until such time that we are actually expelled. If the expulsion does not come now, then likely after 3.5 years we'll join the Congress. See, don't expect it because we are candidates. So you be prepared that we will take a choice. But as of now, Congress is not offering us the ticket. They want us to stay at home. But should we stay at home is the million-dollar question, since Congress is not giving us ticket. So the people will decide.
And now on to a big Northeast Live exclusive report. Well, former Chief Minister and veteran Naga leader SC Jamir, who is under fire from the NSC and IM for allegedly meddling into the Naga peace talks, has made a big statement. In an exclusive conversation with Northeast Live correspondent Sarah Konyak, Jamir, who had met Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Union Home Minister Amit Shah last week, said that the issues of sovereignty, integration, flag and constitution are no longer a part of the agreement, which according to him has already been completed. Jamir claimed that this was clearly conveyed to him without any ambiguity by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Union Home Minister Amit Shah during his recent meeting with both the leaders. So this indeed is a big statement by SC Jamir at this crucial juncture when Naga leaders as well as the negotiating groups are camping in the national capital to meet the central leaders.
Mr. Jamir, you had recently met the Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, and just last week, the Home Minister, Union Home Minister, had invited you to Delhi. What was the purpose of these 2 meetings?
The main purpose was to discuss about Naga political issue. And they wanted to know exactly what is the stand of the government of India vis-a-vis the ongoing political dialogue. As a matter of fact, it's not an ongoing dialogue, but is already completed agreement. So I want to know the position of this government of India. Both the Prime Minister as well as Home Minister made it amply clear, without any ambiguity, that sovereignty, integration, flag, and constitutions are no more in the agreement, because the unity of the country nor the constitution cannot be compromised. And that was a very, very clear message to the people of Nagaland. And perhaps the same views were conveyed to the Naga leaders who are engaged in the present political dialogue and who have appended their signatures in their respective agreements.
SC Jamir also responded to the NSCNIM for slamming him after meeting Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Home Minister Amit Shah. Jamir said that the Naga issue does not belong to the underground groups only, but it is a common property of all the Nagas. Well, SC Jamir said every Naga has the right to express their opinion on the issue. Not only this, SC Jamir questioned the NSCNIM leadership as to why they were seen clapping and shaking hands with Prime Minister as well as other leaders and officials after the signing of the framework agreement in 2015. Jamir wondered if it was a sign of approval to whatever was agreed upon, or was it a sign of disapproval? According to the veteran leader, the scenes clearly say that the NSCNIM has agreed to all the aspects as incorporated in the framework agreement. Jamir said it is unfortunate that the NSCNIM leadership is talking in a different tune.
Mr. Jamir, right now you have stated that not an ongoing peace talk, but a completed process. Yeah,
Yes.
that's what you have mentioned. Well, the NSC and IM have accused you of destroying the Naga political identity. So, do you not subscribe to the idea that the Naga should live independently?
I think this is the greatest opportunity to explain the reality of the statement and also my approach to the Naga problem. During my time, ceasefire was declared in 1997, and for the last 20 years, they have been discussing. And perhaps, and I believe, during these 20 years, they must have thoroughly discussed, debated each and every point relevant to Naga issue, including semi-commission, plebiscite, sovereignty, integration, flag, constitution, and so on and so forth. Only after discussing for 20 years, they have mutually agreed, collectively signed the framework agreement on 3rd August 2015 in the presence of Prime Minister, Home Minister, and Security Advisor on Government of India side, and all the VIPs from NSCNIM side. After appending the signature, we have been watching in the TV, they shook hands with Prime Minister, with Home Ministers, with political advisors, and they clapped their hands. Should we take it that is it an approval or disapproval? I think it is only when we agree we shake hands. It is only when we agree we clap our hands. Unless a Naga nature, if we don't agree, we shake our heads. But I have not seen anybody shaking their heads except clapping. And therefore, as a public, we feel that they have agreed what they have signed officially, formally, consciously, and knowing all the contents of this framework agreement. At this stage, when logical conclusion is to be made, when the goodwill of all sections of the Naga communities are to be sought, both by NSCNIM and this NPGs, I think it is very unfortunate that the NSCN IM leadership, they are talking in a different tone. I'm an individual. I don't belong to the core committee. I don't belong to any Naga underground organization. The drafting was not done by me. And we have never interfered in the drafting that it should 16 points should be the basis. No, nobody has said, neither individual or individuals. But all of a sudden, when I met the Home Minister the other night, they started again that, why should we console Jamir? I think Naga problem doesn't belong to underground only. It is a common property of all Nagas, and therefore every Naga citizen has got a right to express his or her opinion.
Meanwhile, SC Jamir emphasized that the final agreed points between the Government of India and the Naga negotiating groups must be made public so that people are aware as to how their future gets shaped once the solution becomes a reality. Jamir added that he has no grudge against any group or individual and appealed to the NSC and IM and the NNPGs to seek the blessings of the Nagas.
But unfortunately, this agreed positions document was circulated widely to the legislatures, to the organizations. I got a copy also. I have gone through. But so far, I have not seen, except that the framework agreement, no competencies have been circulated to anybody. And to speak the truth, legally, politically, constitutionally, democratically, I think that people should know what kind of arrangements are being made for the future. But in this case, they have not shown to anybody. And yet, the people's, I think, understanding is whatever they have done, since it has been drawn up after 20 years of negotiation, it will be in the best interest of the people and the country. That's why people are keeping quiet and they want to accept whatever they have done. And therefore, I would appeal especially to leaders of the IM. I have no grudge against anybody as an old man. I pray for all of them. And it is time that the leadership of both IM as well as this NNBGs, they should seek the blessings of every Naga at this crucial stage. And therefore, whatever they have said, I think it is a closed chapter. We're talking about the present, and we're trying to shape the future of the Naga people. And why should they talk about 1963? it is not today, it is 1963. And therefore, my appeal to IM leadership that let us try to bring all sections of the Naga community to a common platform and design, shape, mold the future of Naga people to be a healthy, united, harmonious, and prosperous Nagaland.
Meanwhile, let's listen into what the veteran leader and former Chief Minister SC Jamir said when asked whether he would want to meet NSC and IM General Secretary Twingaleng Muiva.
My last question to you. Will you ever consider sitting with the NSC and IM leadership before the final solution?
Well, that's a difficult question because Muiba and myself, when we discuss this issue, when I was governor of Maharashtra, I have said everything to him. And that day when we shook hands, he said, I think Jamir, this should be our last meeting. I said, yes. Whatever I have to tell you, I've told you, so no use meeting now. Frankly, I said, yes. No use meeting again. Because whatever I have in my mind, I told you. Because spade is spade.
Thank you. Thank you for speaking to Northeast.
Yeah.
And in some other stories now, well, Assam Special DGP L.R. Bishnoi has been appointed as the new DGP of Meghalaya. A 1991 batch IPS officer of the Assam Meghalaya IPS cadre, Bishnoi had been instrumental in dealing with the law and order situation, particularly insurgency in the Boro heartland. L.R. Bishnoi will take over the charge from Edashisha Nongrang, who is the acting DGP of Meghalaya. Meanwhile, L.R. Bishnoi spoke to the media and said that his top priority would be to enhance the policing system after he assumes charge as the Meghalaya DGP. The senior IPS officer said that capacity building, imparting quality training, improving police public relation, crime prevention strategy are some of the core areas that he would be focusing on.
समस्या मोर ना भागो उग्रपंथी ताता से उग्रपंथी तो जा गोटे नॉर्थ ईस्ट मतलब इंसर्जेंसी अपनी लो बोली कोबो पारे इतो कारणे आमी इतिया बाकी जो हमार पुलिसिंग एरिया আছে তাত আমি বেশি গুরুত্ব দিব কারণে চেষ্টা করি যেনে কো ট্রেনিং আছে ক্যাপাসিটি বিল্ডিং আছে স্কিল ডেভেলপমেন্ট আছে টেকনোলজি ইউজ আছে পুলিশ পাবলিক রিলেশন স্ট্রং করা আছে ক্রাইম প্রিভেনশন স্ট্র্যাটেজি हो বা প্রজিকিউশন স্ট্র্যাটেজি हो বা ইনভেস্টিগেশন স্ট্র্যাটেজি हो রাইজর মাজত গই ফলে যেতিয়া পুলিশৰ ইমেজ তো ভাল হয় এতিয়ালৈকে যেনেকুৱা ৰাজ্য আশা কৰিছে এনেকুৱা ইমেজ এতিয়ালৈকে কিছুমান ঠাইত হোৱা নাই তো আমি ওভাৰঅল পুলিশৰ ইমেজ ভাল কৰিব কাৰণে চেষ্টা কৰিম
Alright, that's all we have for now. Keep watching Northeast Live for more news and updates. Thanks for watching.
Northeast Live, the most viewed news channel in the region.